I know that there's a lot of people out there that may not have huge budgets and they're like, dang, this looks like it was shot with like expensive gear. Guess what? It wasn't. It was shot with really cheap gear. It was shot with minimal crew, and I just kind of want to show you guys what is possible if you have the right amount of ingenuity. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. So I recently just shot my first music video and it turned out pretty cool, and I want to do a video breakdown for you guys to show you basically how we lit it, how we shot it, and all the gear and stuff that I used for it. If you guys want to check out the video before you see the dissection of it, it'll be the first link in the description. It is for the song Never With You Again by Christian Gates, and we shot this entire thing in a single room with very minimal crew and very minimal budget, but I still think it turned out pretty cool. Go and check out the video and then come back to this one and watch me dissect it and get into what we did with it and everything. Anyways, this entire video was shot on two cameras that actually, for the most part, it was basically shot on one camera, which is, I don't know if you guys can see it right over here. So right there. We're shot on that camera, which is my Sony a7S III. I have it rigged out. I got a rig video coming soon. But basically this entire video was shot on my a7S III. And then for the lighting that we did, I basically just used two Amaran 60Xs with softboxes on them and a grid, and then some MCs. And that was basically all the lighting gear that we used. We did use a couple of flags for like 2 shots, but other than that, it was just the grids on the softboxes and the Aperture MCs. And I think for like the minimal amount of lighting that we use and the minimal amount of setup that we use, I think it turned out pretty cool. And we had to get a little creative with how we, did everything, but I'll talk about that as we check out the video together. So let me just go ahead and sync this up. Let's go ahead and start this video. So the intro of this music video doesn't actually have anything, so we're gonna just skip that. And then we get into the actual music video. So this is the first shot. Now this isn't my favorite shot. And the reason is because the lighting on his face definitely could have been better. I think we could have had a bounce coming in and just fill in a little bit more of his face. But you know what? We were on like a tight schedule. We had to reshoot this at the end because we didn't have this note card in the beginning because the printer that we were using, we actually lost. So we had to have the assist go and get some actual prints at a local CVS. And then we just reshot them, like these shots, these beginning shots, once we had the actual photo. We actually did shoot this shot without him holding the photo, and I think that shot overall was a lot better, but at the end of the day, he wasn't holding a photo, so we couldn't really use it in the final product, which kind of sucks because I like those versions better. But yeah, for the majority of this video, you guys will notice that it is very dimly lit, and especially in these beginning shots where it's just him, you can see there's like no light spill and stuff. And that's because for this lighting setup, we basically had one light above him. That was a top-down light, and that was the Aperture or Amaran 60X with the softbox. And we basically just boomed it on a C-stand and had 2 of the gobo arms connected because we didn't have a telescoping arm. And we just kind of boomed it over him and just had it going, firing directly above, which it ended up working. We actually ended up doing this shoot twice. So we shot the first day and then just didn't get all the shots we needed. So we had a second day with the studio. And the first day that we shot it, we overcomplicated the lighting setup and it just took so much time. So when we were going back for the second day, we're like, okay, lighting took way longer than we needed to for the basic lighting that we're going for. So we're just going to cut the amount of like preparation for the light. So the first day, what we did is we had 2 C-stands with the gobo arms, kind of like this, and then we had the light going downward. So we had 2 supports. Second day, we were like, okay, we didn't really like that, slowed us down so much, and we could easily get the same effect with just 1 gobo arm. So we just double bagged 1 C-stand and then kind of had it like this. Instead of having 2 C-stands, we just had 1, and it ended up working. And because we did that, it allowed us to be able to pivot the light stand kind of like this while keeping the light in the center. So the reason that we did that is because, for example, if the camera was like to the left of the bed and we were shooting to the right, we would be able to see the C-stand if we had the original setup. But with the new setup, we could just pivot the C-stand to the left side of the bed, being on the same side as the camera, and you would never know that there was a C-stand out of frame. So that's what we ended up doing, and for a lot of these shots, it's basically the setup that we have. Now this setup also has another light going on in the back. We had another 60X firing this way. This one didn't have any softness on it whatsoever because I wanted a little bit of a harder light coming in so we get some rays. We do have fog in the air. You can barely see it, so we kind of did all that for nothing, but you can barely see. There's like a little bit of light rays, and there's like a sharper kind of light coming in, and that was because we had no modifiers. We had no modifiers on that second 60X, but I mean, it like worked out. And the main reason we were really trying to control all of these lights is because you can see here, the walls of this studio are like this kind of yellow color, which isn't like the most attractive color. It's kind of like a mustard green yellow, which is just like not really what we were trying to go for. So we're trying not to illuminate the walls as much as we could. And we did that through using the grid and softbox. This shot was really cool, and then it led into this shot, and you can almost see, actually I had to crop it, and you can actually see it in this frame right here. You can see the edge of the softbox right up here. But yeah, this setup, you can kind of just see the setup that we're using. We had the light kind of in different positions among the bed throughout the entire video, but basically we just had that one light set up for all of these shots. So I'm just gonna let it run until we had a different setup. For this setup, you can see the MC over here was replacing the lamp, and then we had another softbox over him on this setup. Man, I am just not good at explaining things, am I? We had two softboxes running and two C-stands running, and we kind of alternated. There was only a few shots that we actually needed both running at the same time. Otherwise, we just used the same softbox and just moved it while we were shooting. But yeah, you can see right here, this is replaced with an MC. Again, what we should have done was bounced a little bit of light back into him just to kind of fill out the frame a little bit, but you know, what can you really do? And one challenge, okay, this was a cool shot, but one challenge with this was over here when we were lighting this setup, we were starting to get a lot of shadows on this wall over here because the room isn't that big. So we were trying to find a way to still be able to illuminate them enough without it casting shadows. And what we ended up doing was we just took the light in the softbox and we just bounced it onto the ceiling and had it come back down. So it was a lot more diffused, and it worked, but it was, you know, not as easy as we thought it was going to be. But that was a really cool shot. These are also really cool shots. Right here, you can see the MC just replacing it. And basically for like all of these, again, MC over here, and then the C-stand is just off frame to the right, and then there's a top down on him, but making sure it would just still illuminate her. But you kind of get a sense of how small this room is. Like I'm way in the other side of the corner, and I'm shooting like at a 50 mil on this, and it's, you know, it's a little tight in here. And then we're gonna skip until the end. So a lot of these shots are kind of all the same. Again, we were doing this video, very low budget, very, you know, run and gun type of situation, very minimal crew. But we use the same setup for basically everything except for the ending. So the ending right here, this is where the setup gets kind of crazy. So how I mentioned earlier, how we were using just those two 60Xs, and then we had a couple of MCs. Well, in the end, we had all of the 60X, we had 3 60Xs. We had those on strobe mode, and then we also had 8 MCs also on strobe mode. And it kind of went crazy. And we did this like slow-mo effect, and it turned out, I think, really, really cool. The only issue was that when we were doing slow-mo, we were getting really long periods of black and just not a lot of light. But it worked in some parts, and didn't work in other parts. We did a couple of takes, but at this point where it was like 4 in the morning, so we're just like, okay, let's wrap this up. Let's get this done. This is probably my favorite part of the video. I think it looked super cool. This shot right here, there wasn't actually any strobes going on. I just filmed the photos falling and then inserted like a glow effect in post to try and get like that strobe look. And then same with this shot. That was actually not done practically, but yeah, that was the end of it. And then we just ended it with like the same way that we started it, which is with like these like text bubbles, which I think is pretty funny. That does it. That was the music video. That was my first music video that I shot, and I think it turned out pretty cool. And I think given the circumstances that we had, I think it ended up being a really, really cool final product. Color gradient stuff wasn't anything crazy, so I would show you guys the color gradient on it, but honestly, it wasn't anything too intense. We just kind of graded it as close to how we shot it. And yeah, at the end of the day, I think it turned out pretty cool. But yeah, I'm trying to get more into video, and this is like my first video, like full video project that I've shot, and I directed it, shot it, storyboarded it, did like basically everything for it with the help of Christian, and we got it done in like a day. So definitely was not the most polished thing that it could have been, but given the circumstances, I do think that it turned out pretty cool. And I want to share with you guys how I was able to set up the lady and stuff like that, because I know that there's a lot of people out there that may not have huge budgets, and they're like, dang, this looks like it was shot with like expensive gear. Guess what? It wasn't. It was shot with really cheap gear. It was shot with minimal crew, and I just kind of want to show you guys what is possible if you have the right amount of ingenuity. And you can get some really cool effects and some really cool visuals without having to spend a ton of money. And that's, I think, what we were able to achieve with this budget in this music video. That about does it for this video. I'm going to be doing a rig breakdown of the entire rig that I used to shoot this video soon, so make sure you stick around for that. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Everything, all the gear and stuff that I used for this music video will be in the description below. They're all affiliate links, so if you do buy something, it will benefit me. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. See ya.